Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the J Lounge. Of course, you guys know I am your hostess with the mostest, Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson, here to bring you guys another wonderful episode of the J Lounge. Of course, everybody knows the J Lounge is a celebrity-based podcast show where we talk with actors, directors, chefs, designers, you name it. They all come down here and they all have a wonderful time. As per norm, I'm super excited to be introducing my next guest for today. They are a rising star in the chef world in located in Bermuda. They're here to talk about their love of food and really talk about their love of food in Bermuda that's not talked about as much as other foods. And so I'm super excited for her to be speaking with us today. Everyone give a super warm welcome to Chef Keoree Simmons. Hi, Corey.
Hi,
How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Oh, that's good. That is good. I am so glad you decided to join with us today. I am very happy to be speaking with you. I'm going to go ahead and fire the first question at you. I want to know what began your passion for cooking?
So I first started cooking when I was young, just doing some small things around the house. So I actually grew up in a household where my parents got divorced when I was in grade three. So coming home at night, and my dad works at an auto shop, and every day he's tired, and not all the time he's able to feed me or get food quickly. So most of the time we would go down to the store and we would just get that ready chicken. Most stores in Bermuda have that chicken that's already in the heat already ready, and he would just do a salad. And I remember saying to him, I was like, I don't want to eat this anymore. Like just chicken and salad, or it's quite boring to me. So with my grandma living and across the way, she lives in the pool house. She sometimes will also cook for us as well. But then I also got bored of that too. So it came to my dad teaching me the easy things. I started off with doing beans and rice, and I was like, beans and rice, beans and rice. I'm so tired of that too. So I started looking online at different recipes that I can do. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and try this one recipe. And I don't exactly remember the year that I did this, but
Mhm.
I started off doing like fajitas, like the
Ooh.
egg fajitas.
Mm.
And I was like, this is something that I want to do. I went to my grandma. I was like, hey, can you take me to the store? I'm gonna surprise my dad and do something different. So he was like, oh, what's for dinner? Beans and rice. And I was like, I got something. And I just never told him. I was like, you just go do what you do, sit and watch a TV show, and I got this. So I go crack the eggs. I put all the peppers and different things in it, tomato, everything. And I was like, okay, dinner's ready. He was like, oh, what is this? And he gave it a bite and he was like, this is so delicious. So from there, he was like, you should let your stepmom try this. At the time they were dating. He was like, oh, you should go let her have a try. So I made it again, and she was like, oh my goodness, like this is so delicious. And all I remember is my dad basically like going to work and telling people like, oh, my daughter had cooked for me tonight, and it wasn't just a regular beans and rice type thing. It was more of like she actually really did something from the heart and really like went on her way and put a whole dish
Yeah.
together.
For one, that dish does sound absolutely amazing. That sounds super good. And I'm so glad that you made it for them and they loved it and kind of encouraged you from there. I think that's awesome. I really do. I think that's awesome. And that actually goes into my next question, Corey. Name three people who influenced your career and why.
I would really have to say, well, first it would start off with my grandparents. Um, I used to do small little things around the house. So my dad's mom, I used to do so much baking with her, and that's where the bacon influence comes from. To see everything that she's created today, it's like, wow, I wouldn't have thought to put zucchini in a cake. And that's not my typical flavor either. But what happened was I went over to her house one day and she had made a cake. She never told me what it was. I just took a piece and I was like, oh, this is so good. She was like, oh, I put zucchini in it. And I was like, what? And it made me like second guess me eating it, but then I went back and still continued eating it. Like growing up, having her on the bacon influence, I used to do so much. Like I remember one Christmas, I got a cupcake machine for Christmas, and I carried this thing everywhere. I might have been maybe 6, 7, 8, and I carried this thing everywhere. So I used to go to her house because she actually lived across the way where I stayed. And I would take this cupcake machine and I would say, I'm ready to make some cupcakes. And she was like, I don't think I have anything in the fridge to make something with, but I'll find something. And she would scrape whatever she had so that we could make cupcakes. And it's like if we weren't making cupcakes, then we were doing regular cakes. If we weren't doing cakes, then we were trying some recipes. I remember one time we had tried apple pie tarts together, and this was our first time doing it. It didn't work out, but we then came back and was like, okay, this is what we did wrong. This is what we could do to fix it. So that on the baking side of things, that's with influence. Now, when it comes to my mom's mom, she had influenced me with cooking because this is all regular cooking. This is all she ever does. When it comes to big family gatherings, this is what she does all the time. I would be in the kitchen helping her. I'll say, hey, what are we doing today? What are we making? I definitely see that she has a love for cooking for the family. On my mom's side, I have a huge family. We will always have these big gatherings. Thanksgiving we would do, and all the aunts and sisters and cousins and everybody would come over, and we would go ahead and bake, and we would cook and do certain things. So with her, it was more of on the cooking side. We did some baking, but it wasn't really super big or anything like that. Um, and one thing that stood out to me when it came to my grandmother on my mom's side was she would make these sausage rolls, and I think this is something, a tradition that will forever stay in my family
Mm-hmm.
because this is, and I didn't even know any of this information until this year. Now, being that this is something that she always cooked every year, and it actually stopped this year, sadly, because she couldn't find any sausages. Now, she uses a special type of sausage. On my mom's side of the family, we do not eat pork, so she uses beef sausages, and it's kind of like pigs in a blanket, but it's not. And I wouldn't be able to tell you why. That's just because it's a family secret recipe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but people would say like, "Oh, this is just pigs in a blanket." It's not based on the recipe. So, what had happened was this year the store had actually ran out, or they stopped bringing in these sausages because I know that it has to do with Trump and shipping and everything, and some businesses have closed. So, with that being said, it actually was kind of sad. But then it was a little bit touching to me, and I know that might be strange to find that my grandmother's mom was actually the one that started this. And for some reason, my whole life, I thought that my grandmother was the one that just started this and she just was making it, cooking it. And I was like, oh,
Right, right.
like this is just something that she had created. So to go back for my family history, food actually really does go a long way. Like my grandmother was making this in the kitchen and cooking it and making it. So then I used to come in the kitchen sometimes and help her make it and cook it. And this was a family staple. Like it always had to have been at the family functions. Like everybody always asked for it. I remember one of my cousins when she was pregnant with her first child. She was like, I know that this place is gonna cater the food for the function, but we have to have these sausage rolls there. And
Right. Yeah.
I like everybody
That's
was like, "Oh, we're coming for the sausage rolls." Like everybody would always say that. And the thing is, um, knowing my grandma, like she would always put like maybe six in a bag and put them in her fridge. And me after the functions, I'm like, okay, I still want more. I know that she has more. So
yeah,
I'll go
no,
in her
I
fridge,
understand that.
look up the
Yeah.
top. Like that was like where I got my cooking from. Like just like her showing up to different events and putting love in just for the family, like cooking certain foods, like from the potato salad to the peas and rice to even the sausage rolls. It's like it goes a long way. But
Yeah.
everybody in my family basically influences, and when it comes to like the third person or maybe a bonus person, because I already said my dad, it would be my mom. Now, my mom also has a signature staple as well, and it's quite strange because
Um,
it's kind of a similar food bite. I would say more of like an appetizer. Keep it on the same.
Yeah, you were saying?
So so basically, my mom makes egg rolls, and it's just I kind of find it like a connection because it's like my grandma does the sausage rolls, my mom does the egg rolls, and I've learned how to do both of those. So basically, all these people have influenced my cooking.
Oh, all of that sounds amazing. Oh, it sounds like you came from an amazing family of cookers and just, oh, and wonderful foods. I love that. I love that so much. And I'm so glad you're able to express that and kind of share that with the world. That's what's the best part. Um, so going on to the next question, Corey, you are from Bermuda, so your cooking style is comes from the Bermuda. Not a lot of people know about Bermuda cooking. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
So for the people that don't know, Bermuda is actually an island in the Atlantic Ocean,
Yeah.
and I know that some people get it confused with Barbuda and some other places, and and sometimes people would put us in the category of Caribbean, which isn't wrong and it isn't right, but we do consider ourselves in that list. So when it comes to the cooking style in Bermuda, it is a lot of different infusions put together. So it would be Caribbean. You might see a little bit of Jamaican. You might see Portuguese, and you probably wonder why Portuguese because there are some Portuguese people that do immigrants that do live here in Bermuda and they have influenced our cooking today. And I say that because our traditional breakfast that we eat on Sunday or we eat on the holidays is codfish and potato. So basically what it is, it's codfish, fish with potato, a banana, a boiled egg, avocado, butter sauce, or sometimes people put mayo, like my brother likes mayo. And then to give it that Portuguese influence, Portuguese started putting a tomato sauce, and that's where that influence comes into play. We eat a lot of different traditional foods here in Bermuda. We have hot cross buns, which is apparently a Caribbean thing. I actually recently just found that out. So sometimes you might see it in Jamaica, sometimes you might see it in Barbados or whatnot. And basically, a hot cross bun is a sweet bun with icing on top. Now, this here, the icing on the top influences or signifies the cross. And this has to do with Easter. So when Jesus rose on the cross, this is why it's a hot cross bun. Jesus on the cross. And what we will put inside is a fish cake. Now, sometimes people might not like fish cake. Like, I'm not really a huge fan of fish cake only because I'm not a huge fan of bones. So when it comes to codfish and potato, I don't really pick out much fish because I'm not a huge fish bone person. Some people might like it, some people don't. Like, you have to make sure that you don't swallow the bone, you take the bones out, whatnot. Um, but there's so much influence when it comes to the food in Bermuda, like based on who is living here in Bermuda. So we do have a lot of Jamaicans, we have the Portuguese, we also have the Filipinos that bring their food, but all of this together combines makes what Bermuda food is today.
Wow. I've been dying to try Bermuda food. I mean, Caribbean food or Bermuda food, it's just, I've been dying to try. I really wish we had more restaurants here in Washington that really represents that because the food just looks absolutely outstanding. Like you can't get it anywhere else, which I'm sure you can. So yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. Going on to the next question, Corey, I want to make sure my audience follows you and your work and your cooking. Where are you on social media?
So you can always find me on social media. Every time you search me up, and my name is Keoree Simmons with two M's, Simmons, and you can always find me. Like as soon as you search me on Google, everything will pop up. My YouTube, my Instagram, my TikTok. If you want to learn more about Bermuda foods and
Yeah.
local foods and different history about Bermuda, I do a lot of that on my TikTok. Like my TikTok and Instagram. I am a foodie as well. Outside of being a chef, I also
Yes.
showcase a lot of food. I showcase a lot of food on my Instagram and my TikTok, which is like the whole reason why I love Bermuda food.
Yes, and I highly encourage my audience. Make sure you follow Keoree Simmons is all on all on all social platforms, excuse me. We want to make sure we hear more about her story, more about her cooking, especially about Bermuda cooking. So make sure you guys follow Keoree on social media platforms. Like she said, just go to Google, search her name, and she should come up right on up. So make sure you guys follow, like, support, because we want to hear more of Keoree. That is for sure. Going on to the number 6 question, Keoree. What future projects are you currently working on that you can give a dish about to the J Lounge audience?
So currently, right now, I am working on doing a food series, just going around to different places around Bermuda and sharing the history of the food. Not only just the history, but also like showcasing the delicious food, like anything that you can get in Bermuda. The next thing that I'm also working on as well is doing a podcast that will be coming out very soon. A podcast where I will be either talking to you through Zoom, or I will be either showcasing you in person and we just cook and we talk. So it's either we talk about the food based on where you are located or and a little bit of history about what you do. And then even cooking in person, like what do you like to cook, maybe we can cook that in person and show that on camera while we talk about who you are. And it's not so much of a professional thing. Like you can come in, you could show up in your pajamas if you wanted to, you
Love
can
it.
show up like something chill where we get to know you on a deeper level. Like for instance, I have some politicians that are gonna come on, and we don't want to see them in their suits and ties and whatnot. Like we don't want to see that firm politician personality. We want to see what's deeper than that. Like why did you become a politician,
Oh,
or
yeah.
why is this your favorite food? Like did you cook this with your mom when you were like 5 years old? Like get down to the nitty gritty, like not what we see on social media or on the news outlets. We want to see the fun, smiling, happy. This is what we're cooking with you, and we want to get to know you on a deeper level.
I love that. I think that's going to be so cool, and definitely keep us here at the Gym Lounge posted on that because I would definitely love to check out that podcast. I think that sounds fun. I think that sounds refreshing, and that sounds a lot different. Yeah, definitely keep us here posted because we definitely want to know more about that as that comes along for sure.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Going on to the next question. What goals do you hope to accomplish in your career?
So in my career, I do hope that I'm able to influence younger people to become chefs. There's so many different people out here that want to do different careers, and I know that I once actually had talked to a younger girl. She's in elementary school, and she said, "When I grow up, I want to be a chef. This is what I want to do." And I said to her, like, continue doing that because here in Bermuda, and this is one thing that I do have to point out is that you have people that say, "Oh, as a chef, you're not going to make any money. You're not going to really do much." And I believe that being a chef, if you really truly want to do it and it's your passion, then you should go ahead and stick to that passion because being a chef is really fun. It's exciting. You're able to meet people, try new things, try new recipes and everything. So I'm hoping to influence the younger generation to stick to the goals of being a chef. I also want to be like that inspiration that they can look up to. Like if they need any questions, anything like that, then they can go ahead and ask me anything. I hope that I'm able to, as a chef, I want to be able to create some sort of product that leaves a mark in this world because everybody is here in this world for a reason. And at the end of the day, or the end goal is that you leave a mark on the world so that they're able to either one, use your platform to help them to grow, or take your advice and do whatever they need to do. So at the end, my whole goal is to make sure I leave a mark on this earth so that I'm more got to like I have a legacy, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes.
So, and the last thing is so that I can actually continue the goal of loving my passion, doing the passion, not just for the money, but to grow with the skills that I'm learning from other people, and also to be able to use those skills in my everyday life.
I love that. I absolutely love that. I think, and I'm completely with you. There are so many young people who have such a passion for cooking. That'd be so wonderful to see you as like a mentor, someone that they can definitely look up to. Um, especially, doing your passion and doing what you love. So I think that'd be a great thing for young people to look up to. And I really hope that, anyone that's listening in can definitely take the heed to what Keoree says and yeah, yeah, definitely follow your passion. Going on to the next question, Kareem. What are some other passions you have outside of cooking?
So outside of cooking, I love, love, love being a content creator. So because cooking is my thing and I love food, I decided to become a food content creator because this is just something that I've always had a passion for. So showcasing the skills that I have in the kitchen. I create reels sometimes throughout the week where I show like what I do in the kitchen. I also showcase reels of me trying different foods around Bermuda. So I've recently started doing this year, and with doing that, I've started to blow up. I once had went to a tour this year, a fish sandwich tour that was done in the eastern side of the island, and it was done by Titan Express. And they had put on a fish sandwich tour where you go to these restaurants and you try half of a fish sandwich. And I just said, like, oh, I'm just gonna show what I do during this fish sandwich tour, what I eat, how I feel about it, and rate it and just put it up on social media. And not even thinking anything of it. I just had posted it, gave my review, and called it a day. And I was like, yeah, nobody's gonna see this. Nobody's really gonna pay attention to it. And it actually blew up. It actually has about 6,000 plus views. And somebody had actually sent a message to me and was like, hey, I saw you on Facebook, and I was like, Facebook for what? And they was like, didn't you go on a fish sandwich tour recently? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, well, everybody's talking about it on Facebook. Like you're blowing up on Facebook, you're blowing up on TikTok. And I was like, and mind you, I haven't checked anything after posting it. And I didn't think anything of it at all. So from there, I was like, if people love seeing food tours or food reviews, then I should continue doing that. So I started continuing showing food reviews and not only just food reviews, but showcasing myself in the kitchen. Like, this is what I do as a day in the life of a chef in the kitchen. And it would just probably show me like prepping dishes, cooking different recipes. It will also show me doing different orders. Like sometimes I would show crazy orders. Like it was one video I had did that also blew up as well, which was I believe I had a pizza that had broccoli on it. And my job, Boundary Sports Bar and Grill, we actually don't even have regular pizzas. We have flatbread pizzas. So to see like a flatbread with broccoli on it, like everybody was like, "Oh, I would never thought to put that on a flatbread," and I never thought so either. But looking at it, it actually looks so delicious. So I showcase my life as a foodie and a chef on my TikTok and also my Instagram. But beyond that, I also have a love for Bermuda. I love Bermuda history. I love showcasing Bermuda in any type of aspect that I can. So like from the beaches to the history to the food to cooking in the kitchen, like that's what I have a passion for outside of, me just focusing on my job.
Oh, that's a lot of passion, Corey, but I love that though. I love that. I know, and I love how you have a clear direction of how you want to, how you want all that to come together. And I think that's amazing, having a clear view of how you want your passions to come together. And I have no doubt you're going to accomplish every single one of them. No doubt. Going on to the next question, we just got a couple more. In your opinion, what are three dishes you consider to be very difficult to make?
Now, when it comes to difficult dishes, it all depends on like maybe the sauces or even the type of method that you take for pastries. So sometimes a cheesecake could be difficult because if you don't have the right temperature or whatnot, that's if you're doing it with the baked method. Now, if you don't have the right temperature, or maybe you do have the right temperature, and your oven is just one of those ovens that just push out way too high of a temperature, then you're going to have a cheesecake that's overbaked. And that's why I can consider it to be difficult. But on the other hand, I also can find it easy to do because if you have the right temperature, or maybe if you're doing it with a no bake, then it will make it much more easier. Another thing is when it comes to certain recipes, and this is just broad. Um, Different sauces can be difficult to make. Like maybe you don't want to curdle it, or maybe you don't want to put so much heat so that then it doesn't, go to a consistency of it being too thick, or maybe it might be that it needs to be less gritty. I recently actually had did a recipe for the very first time, a onion dip that you can have with chips and dip, and I followed the recipe, or I followed what I was told to do, and um looking at how the outcome came, it was way too gritty. But then again, it is for chips and dips, so it might be fine to be gritty, but then other people might not like that grittiness of that dip. So it's like you have to make sure that you don't have that grittiness, or make sure that when certain sauces are done, that it doesn't curdle or break. And you have to have the right temperature. So it's like you have to be paying attention to the temperature. You also have to pay attention to the heat. You have to make sure that you have enough heat, or you have not too little heat on certain things.
Oh, yeah. That is interesting. I've actually probably have to agree with the cheesecake, with the temperature with the cheesecake, because I tried making cheesecake before and with not the right temperature, and it's definitely didn't come out the way I wanted. So I
Yeah,
have to agree with that. You have to be careful with baking is something you have to be careful with in general, and that's a whole different ballpark than cooking. Oh
yeah.
my, oh, I agree with that. All right, going on to the last question, Corey. What's some of the best advice you've been given so far since you started your career?
The best advice that I've been given, it was actually last year. This is when I started working at Boundary Sports Bar and Grill. Um, and I can actually give you maybe two to three different advices that I got while working in this position. So I would say the first one would be is make sure when you're working in a kitchen, you find the oldest person there, or the person that's worked there the longest, and try to get all the information out of them as possible,
Oh,
because you want to be able to basically become them. And what I mean by that is you want to make sure that you got your recipes down. You want to make sure that you got the tricks that they have been doing for the longest while down. I remember working with this Filipino. His name's Juanito, and he was an amazing chef. He still is. He's actually retired now, but learning from him actually was amazing, because to see the different type of techniques and different things that he had was just amazing. Like it might be, oh, we're baking this dessert. I want you to add some water to the pan, and then put the dessert on that pan, and then put it in the oven. And I would have never thought to do that. Now, doing that helps it to keep the moisture of that dessert. But in my mind, I would have never thought to do that. It's like, okay, I'm just following a recipe, put it in there and bake it and call it a day. And most people probably wouldn't have thought that when it comes to baking. Um, and there's little things that I've been taught from Juanito that was like, wow, this is amazing. Now, I never had the thought of working alongside um, or asking one of the eldest people to there for the skills or the questions. I just happened to be partnered up with working with Benito, and working with him. Like I said, I've learned so much different skills and tricks and different things like that. So that would be my very best advice when it comes to working in the kitchen, is try to find that senior chef and just ask him all the questions in the world. And no question is a wrong question when it comes to working in the kitchen, unless you've worked there for a very long time. That's a different story. But when you first start out, ask every single question, even if it's something like, oh, um, what temperature should this fridge be at? And I know that might be something that you should already know, of course, but no question when you're starting out in the industry is a wrong question. Another advice that I got recently, which was from the manager of the restaurant, his name's Wesley. He had said to me that if you want to achieve a certain goal in your life working in the kitchen, you have to go ahead and put yourself in that shoes and work very hard. Because if you don't work hard towards a certain goal, then you're never going to achieve that position that you want. So if you're starting out as a chef, and you want to become a chef de partie, or maybe you want to become a senior chef, then yes, there will have to be nights where you have to stay up late, or yes, there will be times where you have to stay back longer. Like, let's say your shift finishes at 6 o'clock. And you're like, okay, I'm just gonna go straight home. If you have that mindset of just going straight home and not staying back to maybe help out your peers if they're in trouble, or maybe to work on a recipe or whatnot, then you're never gonna be able to achieve the goal of getting to that next level or the next position. So you do have to sometimes bend over backwards. Yes, it might not be your position, but at the end of the day, the head chef has seen you try and you're willing to put your best foot forward, then they will eventually say, okay, hey, I see that you've been doing an amazing job. I would love to put you up for this position. And it's like the more that you try to bend over backwards and try hard and even ask questions or even show that you're willing to do this position or even ask questions or show that you're eager, then they're going to want to hire you either maybe at a different place or put you up for a different position. So that's my two best advice that I've gotten, and I think that everybody else could have as well.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. Instead of, I know we all have the attitude where once that clock hits our ending time that we want to leave, but I'm with you. If your fellow coworkers are still working behind or whatever, pick up their dish rag and help them because you never know. You might be getting some good advice. You might be taught something that you didn't think you'd be taught. So I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Corey, you have been absolutely a breath of fresh air to speak with. I love your vision. I love your passion. I can definitely hear it. And I love how you have a clear vision of how you want that passion to be executed. I just think that, you are definitely someone that we definitely want to hear more of. I think I think you have a unique perspective that is definitely needed, especially in the cooking world. So I appreciate you for coming down here and speaking with me today.
Yes, of course. I definitely love sharing my passion with everybody and letting everybody know about Bermuda. It's definitely a place that everybody should come to if they can, for the food, for the culture, everything. So I definitely recommend you guys come down to Bermuda and have fun. If you do come, make sure you come and find me, and I'll be able to
Yes.
assist you with all the food needs and the history.
I agree. I agree. And I highly encourage everyone, if you go down to Bermuda, make sure you hit up Miss Keoree Simmons. Also, make sure you're following her on all social media platforms. We want to make sure we're supporting her. Make sure you guys give a like, give a follow. We want to make sure we see more of Keoree and her work. That's for sure. I appreciate everyone for listening in today. I want to thank my amazing guest, Chef Keoree Simmons, one more time. Of course, you guys know I've been your host with the most, is Miss J, aka Miss Simone Jackson. I will be back with another great episode of the G Lounge here soon. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. I want to thank everyone for listening in one more time, and I will be back soon. Bye.